Kathy from House of TOEFL, and thank you for joining me today for my lesson for the TOEFL Independent Writing. Let's start with some basics. First of all, you have 30 minutes to write this essay. You should write over 300 words to get a good score. You have 30 minutes to complete this essay, and you will type your answer on a keyboard. It is not a handwritten essay, it is a typed essay. Now, I've broken it down into 3 of the most common types of TOEFL questions. In the first, you argue a side. In this question type, you have to choose a side and make an argument for your side. Please feel free to pause the video at this point and read these over. In the second type, you compare the advantages and disadvantages of something. This is much less common than the first type. And the third type is you describe or explain something. Now again, feel free to pause this video at any time and to take your time and read these over. But also please note that this question can really take any format. These are just the 3 that I've seen repeated quite often. Next, let's talk about how to write the introduction. When writing an introduction, it's a good idea to have a format to use. This is a basic template which you can change or you can modify, but this is the way that I find has gotten me a lot of success in writing TOEFL essays. What I do is I start with a broad topic sentence. This does not really talk about the question I'm being asked, and it certainly does not give my opinion. It just touches briefly on the topic. In my second sentence, I narrow the topic. I'm getting closer to what the prompt is asking me to do. In my third sentence, I admit the opposition. This is also called making a concession to the opposition. And I give a reason why people might believe this opposite opinion. And then the most important part of my introduction is my thesis. My thesis is the last sentence of my introduction, and it states the position I am going to support in my essay. So let's look at an example. Here's a sample prompt. Some people believe that zoos are cruel and should be closed. Other people believe zoos serve useful functions. Which viewpoint do you support and why? Now here's my sample introduction. Every major city has at least one zoo and an aquarium. So that's a very broad topic sentence. I'm not really getting very close to the prompt, and I haven't stated any position. But my second sentence, but are zoos positive for the animals and the society at large, or are zoos cruel and harmful? Now I'm getting closer to what the prompt is asking me to do. My third sentence is where I admit the opposition and give a reason. Some people strongly believe that zoos are inhumane because they keep animals that should be in the wild in captivity. And then comes my thesis. However, I believe the benefits of zoos far outweigh any negative repercussions. And that is my introduction. Now let's take a look at how to write body paragraphs. I write 2. Some books say you can write 3, but my students find it a lot easier to write 2 and just develop those with a lot of reasons and examples instead of trying to come up with 3 separate ideas. Now you'll notice I start with a topic sentence that gives an argument. Then I write a sentence or 2 that expands on that topic. Then I give an example. I'm as specific as I can possibly be in my example. And then each body paragraph has a conclusion that relates to my thesis. Now take your time and read these. Feel free to pause the video and look at how I've done this, but you will notice that I follow this template when I write. Okay, so pause the video here and take a moment and look. You'll notice in my first paragraph, I do give a very specific example about the California condor. Now, one question you might have is, what if I don't have something that specific? That's okay. Feel free to use examples from your own life. This just happens to be something that I know from living in San Diego, but it doesn't have to be this specific of a factual example. You can talk about an experience you had or an experience a family member of yours had. And good news, it doesn't have to be true. Feel free to use your imagination. They just want to see how your writing is. Now, let's talk about how to write a conclusion. There is more than one way to do this, but remember, a conclusion should only be 2 or 3 sentences. My method is to have the first sentence, to have a concluding sentence with such phrases that begin with, In conclusion, to sum up, to summarize, all in all, and so forth. In my second sentence, I expand on my conclusion by repeating my main arguments, but by using different words. And then I finalize it by making a prediction, giving a suggestion, or simply making a final statement that wraps everything up. So take a look at my example conclusion here. In conclusion, although there are many who believe that zoos are harmful and that animals are only happy in the wild, I disagree. I think that everything zoos have to offer is tremendously beneficial to animals and the world at large. I strongly believe that everyone should take their family to their local zoo to support their conservation efforts and to learn more about animals. So I'm making a suggestion here, but you can do any of these, a prediction, a suggestion, or a final statement. Let's talk about how to get a 5, which is the best score you can get on this task. First of all, your essay must address the topic. In other words, make sure you answer the question well and do not go off topic in your response. Your essay must be well organized. It must have an introduction, 2 or 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion, all in separate paragraphs. So separate them by putting a space between the paragraphs. Next, your essay must use reason and examples to support your arguments. So be as specific as possible, especially giving specific examples to support your argument. Your ideas must be logically connected. This is called coherence. So you don't want to go off topic. Make sure you stay on topic. Your grammar and language use must be very good to excellent, but you can have some small mistakes as long as they don't make your writing difficult for the reader to understand. And you must make sure you use a variety of sentences and a variety of vocabulary. Try not to repeat yourself. Plus, don't write only short sentences or only long sentences. Make sure you have a variety of sentence lengths, some short and some long. These are some mistakes that you should avoid. Not writing a thesis statement. You must have a thesis statement in your introduction. Again, it is the last sentence of your introduction and it's the position you're going to follow in your entire essay. Run-on sentences. If you don't know what run-on sentences are, take a look on Google and find out what they are because you have to avoid them. That's the same with sentence fragments. Google sentence fragments, find out what they are, find out how to avoid them. Okay, they're very common mistakes my students make. Next, avoid repetition. So expand your vocabulary so you're not repeating yourself. It's a mistake to not use examples to illustrate your idea. Again, you must use a lot of examples and be as specific as possible. Writing information that does not support your thesis. So if you're trying to say zoos are good, if you're going to write about a bad experience you had at a zoo when you were 5, that's not relevant and you should not include it. Another mistake is an essay that's too short. Try to keep it at least 300 words, but try to go over that if possible. And another mistake is writing one big block of text without separating your paragraphs. Make sure you do divide that essay into separate paragraphs. Okay, so that's all for today. You can join me at www.houseoftoefl.com for more information. And I will see you next time. Have a wonderful day and good luck on your TOEFL.